We are.
And
very excited about it.
the last one you took to one of the islands was very beneficial. I think you expect the same.
Well, we hope so. I think it's a great opportunity. Certainly, we're enjoying the 10 practices. 10 days of practice is a little bit of an added benefit. I think really as coaches, that's probably what we prefer. The games are fine overseas, but really just the opportunity to kind of get some young players into practice setting and put in a few things, I think is really good. Gives you a little bit of a first-hand look at your guys. Each season's different. And certainly we lost some good players last year, some older guys that have been around, so I think that part of it's really good for us. And obviously the life experience is immeasurable for guys at this age to have this opportunity to go overseas and learn a little bit about a different culture and a different way of living. I think sometimes we don't always appreciate what we have, and to be able to see something different, I think is really good for them.
These trips tend to equal team chemistry, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just an added life experience, and I think that's, as coaching has changed a little bit more, it's, you're constantly looking for ways to spend more and more quality time with your players. And, with social media and everything that happens now, players don't talk as much. They don't communicate as often. And so it's a challenge to be able to do that. And I think obviously when you take your team on a foreign trip, you can control things. You're around each other a little bit more. And certainly I think that's an added benefit.
You talked about what you want to see from the team a little bit, but what do you hope to learn from watching these guys with the extra practices and the games over the course of this trip to Spain?
Well, it's more of just, seeing a few pieces together. Don't make too much out of, what happens in terms of gameplay and stuff that's going on now, because we're still a long way away from our first regular season game. But, I really like the camaraderie our guys have. We have a youthful enthusiasm and kind of an exuberance that we maybe haven't had the last couple of years because we haven't had very many freshmen. This year we really have 5 new players, and if you include David Scarr, we have 6 guys that will be, able to play. And so you can just see a lot of guys excited about their first college practices. And so the older guys, I think, are enjoying being leaders, and maybe Dante Grantham and Gabe DeVoe, 2 guys that have kind of patiently waited their turn while Jerron has been here, now have an opportunity to be a little bit bigger leaders, and I think they're enjoying that. The older guys enjoy kind of knowing what's going on and watching the young guys struggle with some things and then try to help them. So that's been really good. And I think, it's always fun when you got young guys coming to practice every day and are just really excited. It just brings a lot of energy and spirit. We've had great spirit in practice. They've been very competitive. Guys are really trying to get after it. And then the older guys are doing a good job of just trying to help the young guys as much as they can.
What can these practices do for those newcomers? Just getting them a jump start.
It gives them a head start that otherwise you wouldn't get. And then the opportunity to play in some games is good for us, just to be able to watch a guy in live action to see how he reacts. And what does he really retain when the gun goes off and you're in live action out there. Sometimes practices don't always reveal that, so that's going to be really good. But at the same time, it's trying to watch a guy or two fit in with some of the older players, and again, with so many young guys this year, it's a little bit bigger challenge. And but obviously that's why the 10 days is really good for us.
Do you try to let some of the seniors maybe take on a bigger vocal leadership role in practice, maybe instead of maybe you taking more of a command and leading and try to see if they can lead?
They certainly have every opportunity to be as involved as they want to be, and that's the challenge this day and age, is to get young people to hold each other accountable and to sometimes lead. I think a lot of guys would rather just sit back and relax and kind of let things happen, and really for our team to be what it needs to be, our team needs to be driven by the players. I think, the best teams, championship teams, are driven by the team, not the coach. And so that's still a battle that we're kind of fighting, I think, here a little bit. And hopefully this group will understand that. We have some older guys. Again, Shelton Mitchell's another older player, Marquise Reed. So we do have some guys that have played a couple of years of basketball. And it's good now that we have some guys like that who've all had some experience here at Clemson. So certainly think we have some experience. But we do have a nice mix, an influx of new players that have brought some enthusiasm to this team.
How many guys on the team have been to Europe before? Maybe a couple with maybe an AAU?
You know what? I don't know who all's been and who hasn't. Not very many have been. I know a couple have, but for the most part, this is their first opportunity to go overseas and to experience anything like this. And so when we get over there, we don't really practice. We'll play 4 games. We're not going to watch a bunch of tape and do all that. That's not what the purpose of the trip is. The purpose of the trip is for them to enjoy this experience and for us to use the basketball as a way to interact with some different folks. And certainly we had a great time in Italy, and it was fun to play in different places. We played in a small town where the gym was packed, and it was the biggest thing going on. We played in Rome in front of about 100 people, and it obviously wasn't that much of a big deal there. And so that's okay. And but at the same time, it's just fun for the guys, and we'll do all different lineups. We'll probably start different people and give guys different looks, and we just want to have a good experience, have a good time, and obviously learn a good bit while we're there.
How much behind-the-scenes work is there, making sure everybody's got a valid passport, making sure they know about customs, whether
Yeah,
they
there's
can't
a
pay?
ton. Well, obviously it's something that's been worked on for almost a year. Lucas McKay, my director of ops, has done an incredible job of organizing the trip, and it's a ton of work. Thankfully, Coach Bender, who was kind of in charge 4 years ago when we went to Italy, has been around a little bit to just kind of help on a few things. But it takes a lot of time, energy, and effort for some folks, administrative side of our office, and they've done a great job. Lucas and Susan especially.
Brett, you said you're not going to worry so much about what happens in the game. Will you make a lot of mental notes about, hey, these two guys work well together, this combination?
Yeah, you'll try to see how guys react in different situations, and you might try some things that you might not otherwise in a game initially, and see who plays well. And I think we have to be patient. Our young guys are, it's their first time to play, and they'll be nervous and excited, and I think that'll be a good thing. And the older guys, I think, will approach it in the right way. They have so far. Our practice have been very competitive. Guys have gone after it. We've spent a lot of time on defense, trying to improve our defense. Didn't feel like it was where it needed to be last year. So that's been a big point of emphasis. So I'm really excited about the trip. I think our guys have approached things the right way. And, we're not going to be 100% prepared. But we've done a good bit in 7 or 8 days so far.
Clemson great. Terrell McIntyre back with your program.
Yeah.
What kind of influence do you think he can have beyond what his duties are?
Well, it's ironic in that I was at North Carolina Wilmington and just got the job at North Carolina Wilmington when he was in high school at Hope County, not too far away, and terrific player, a guy that we recruited there, and Clemson kind of came in at the last minute and signed him, and obviously had a phenomenal career here. He's played overseas and been extremely successful. Anytime you bring a guy like that into your program, he has instant credibility with your players. And so whether it's talking about basketball, whether it's talking about school, whether it's talking about playing overseas, I think there's a whole different perspective that he's going to bring to things they think they know, but they really don't, from an older guy that's been through it. And he's only been here a few short days, but he's really excited to be back. And he's a guy I've gotten to know the last 5 or 6 years, especially just as he's kind of come back and been around a little bit. Somebody I was always fond of, and I got to know him a little bit more. This was always a position that I had in mind that we needed to add here at Clemson.
How did that come to fruition? Did you approach him? He approached you?
Yeah, I approached him. It's one of the things when I've been talking to Dan in some off seasons about, hey, I really would like for us to look at adding a position like Jeff Davis, somebody that's a former player that can bring a different perspective and who greatly appreciates what Clemson did for him. And, again, will be a day-to-day resource for our players in a variety of ways. The basketball part of it isn't really the big part of the role. It's, he'll say some things and talk to the guys, but it's more just daily attitude, some life coaching. He'll organize speakers for us. He'll do a lot of different things. He will help in recruiting. It'll be good to bring some recruits by and introduce the families to Terrell and talk about what the experience at Clemson meant to him. So I think there's an added benefit there. So I think it's really a win-win for both of us.
7 practices in, Clyde Trapp. Since I'm up here, I might as well ask, how's he doing, and how do these practices compare to what he'll see in the fall?
They're pretty similar to what he'll see in the fall, and he's doing fine. I think the first week was tough. Just the speed of the game and the competitive nature of everything that happens so quickly. But I think in the last 2 or 3 days, he's settled down a little bit, playing with a little more confidence. He's also getting in better shape. I think everybody in high school thinks they're in shape until you come to a college practice and see how much the extra 10 feet makes a difference in changing directions and how strong bodies pushing on to wear you down. And so he's done a good job in the weight room. He's gotten stronger. He's had a few things where he's been battling a little bit of sickness, and so it's held him back a little bit. But he's doing nicely, or making some nice progress, I should say, in terms of the last couple of days. I've really seen a glimpse of him feeling a little more comfortable, and that should only progress as he's here a little bit longer. And I think he'll be a guy that will greatly benefit from the trip.
Very good.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, Coach.